Audio Jungle.
Shawn Michaels came to know Christ through his wife, who was a Christian before him. Before he was a Christian, he would often use drugs and alcohol to deal with his problems. He says his faith has completely changed him, and he hasn't touched the drug since. And I think this really goes to show you that even when you're a celebrity or a wrestler, it's never too late to turn to God for help, guidance, or any motivation that you need in order to save your life from the dangers of drugs and alcohol and the certain lifestyles that you used to live in with the world before you came to know God and you gave your life to Christ. Personally, feel like as a wrestler, some people may not notice stuff, but wrestlers are not what you see on TV in real life. They're people too. They're human beings as well, but they're also Christians. Some of them are, but some of them are not. So what you see on TV is not real. Not every wrestler has to stay in character. So the fact that Shawn Michaels, he gave his life to God, to change his ways, it really goes to show you that through the power of Christ, it's never too late. So my hat goes off to Shawn for overcoming his demons. Shout out to his wife for inspiring him to want to get better, because Shawn Michaels in the 90s, he was out of control. He was on drugs heavily, but it wasn't around 2002 when he became a born again Christian, and like I said, life may be short, but it's never too late for you to change your life. So yeah. Road Dogg used to live a life of parties and drugs during the Attitude Era. When he started attending Bible-based rehab facility, he says he found God and became a Christian. Since then, his life was changed, and he now tries to do God's work every day. You're never close to God than when you're doing something for someone else, he says. That right there is true. Yes. When you're working in the entertainment industry, when you're working for a certain company or corporate company, I don't think they believe in Christ, or they don't even know God or believe in God. So I think it's best for you to just stay away from those type of environments and just stay close to your, the good circle. So yesterday, in my church, we had Women's Day. We had to wear all blue, any kinds of blue to represent women in Women's Day. This guest preacher, she said something that really interests me. So she said, in order for you to get by, you have to get into a good bubble. And in order for you to get by, you have to get into a good relationship. And so what Road Dogg did, he got himself cleaned up during the Attitude Era. When he became a Christian, he put himself in a good bubble, and he got into a great relationship with God. And that really goes to show you that whatever you're going through, you cannot just give up or run away from your problems. You have to deal with them. Or better yet, have God help you overcome those demons. And I think that alone really goes to show you that no matter what entertainment industry you're in, always make sure that God is your number one source for your success. That's all I gotta say. To AJ Styles, his Christian faith is the most important thing in his life. It's God first and family second, he often says. He is very humble and says he gets most satisfaction out of making others look good in the ring. I kind of agree with him though, because when you think about it, at least he acknowledges Jesus Christ, God first, family second. And I've always said this all the time. Whatever you're doing, something in your life, always thank God first before you decided to do whatever it is that you want to do with your career or with your life. Because number one, never forget where you came from, first of all. because I come from a Christian family. Most of my families are Christian, most of them are not. But guess what? They're still my family regardless. But as for AJ Styles, I feel like he completely changed the game when he debuted in the WWE years ago, and he definitely made SmackDown a watchable, a watchable show. But underneath that character, there's a Christian inside of him that the world may not know about him, and I think it's a good thing that a lot of wrestlers are Christians. I feel like whenever you're a wrestler, you tend to act your character in real life, but you're not. You're always being true to yourself. And I think the world needs to remember that sometimes. When you see on TV, it's not how you're going to remember a wrestler forever, though. Yeah, it's some degrees, but you also have to remember that they're human beings as well. They're regular people just like you and me. So they're just like us when we work in regular jobs in the industries. They're working for WWE, one of the biggest companies in the world. But they're also human beings as well. They get paid just like we do. They're Christians just like we are. And they're regular people just like you and me. Don't matter what disability you are, you're still a regular human being. Period. So for that, to AJ Styles, shout him out, for always putting God first before family. So I think that's the most important thing in the world. Just always thank God for everything that he's done for you. Without that, then you'll be nothing. Kurt Angle was in rehab. His faith in God helped him get sober. He says, now he trusts in God for purposes and direction in his life. Angle also frequently talks about his faith on his blog. And you know what? That's a good thing because Kurt Angle went through hell in TNA, being in and out of rehabs, being a drug addict, arrested for DUIs, a possession of drugs, going through divorce of his ex-wife. And now he's in a better place in his life in the WWE, before he came to TNA, and before that, he was really out of control, in and out of rehabs and just about to hit self-destruct mode, while he was in TNA. So when he came back in 2018 in the WWE, you can tell the difference between him in TNA and him now in the WWE. Like, he completely cleaned up. He looks completely different. And now that he has God in his life, it really goes to show you that even if you're not a Christian, you can always turn to God for help. Or you could just become a Christian for Christian experience. Get baptized and become a born-again Christian. Like I said, it's never too late to start over. So if you do what Kurt did, I think you'll be in a good place because the world is a cold place right now. So the best thing for you to do is keep your faith in God. Rey Mysterio is a Catholic Christian. He has many Christian tattoos and a cross tattoo on his chest. He also prays every night. I believe God put me on this journey, and all the success and triumph that I've had in the world has been because of him. And you know what? Rey Mysterio is one of those wrestlers I respect the most. You always see him pointing up to the sky all the time because he's a Christian. And now that you think about it, that kind of makes sense why he's always doing it, because he's a Christian in real life and he believes in God. And plus, Eddie Guerrero is in heaven now, so that's probably why the spirit of Eddie has always been with him every time he comes out to do a wrestling match or a storyline or whatever. Though, to me personally, I feel like Rey Mysterio is one of the GOATs, one of the all-time greatest wrestlers because of that. And that would have explained why he's always, like I said, pointing up to the sky, because he's a Christian. And as long as he continues to, believe in high faith, I think he's in a good place. So for that, shout out to Rey Mysterio. During a dark time in his life when he was addicted to painkillers and had made over mistakes, staying turned to God as his last hope. He says after Christ came to his life, he found a new purpose in his life, and God helped him overcome his struggles. Today, he is a very outspoken Christian and one of the most respected wrestlers of all time. Don't be shy in sharing your faith. The more you talk about it, the stronger your faith will be, he says. And you know what? That is a good thing that Sting is doing that, because I had no idea that he was addicted to painkillers at the time. So this is my first time finding this out now. But at the same time, when he turned to God for help, he became a better human being and a better Christian. Because you see, it's all about rebooting yourself, all about redeeming your qualities and overcoming demons, whether it's privately or publicly. You know, I would say you do it privately so the whole world wouldn't know about your business. But now that he's bringing up his past struggles, everybody is pretty much inspired by Sting and wanted to be just like him for what he's been through. And now he's all over the world helping people. I mean, not helping people, but inspiring people left and right. So the whole world didn't know that what he was going through. But now that he's talking publicly and that is not that is not afraid to, admit his wrongs and continue to talk about Christ in his life. Because behind the character, there's a Christian inside. As on TV, he's playing a character, but in reality, he's also a Christian. So that's how you know he goes to church every Sunday. He goes to Bible studies every often. But we really don't know what these celebrities are doing, even though they're Christians. They have different ways of knowing God, but as long as they continue to believe in faith, that's really all that matters. So the fact that he actually gave his life to God for a better purpose, it really goes to show you that it's never too late to start over. The power of God is real. The power of Christ is very real. So don't ever think that it's fake. It's not. It's real. Every wrestler and UFC champion Ken Shamrock is also a Christian. He loves to use his platform to represent his Christian faith, though his Lions Den ministry, he regularly speaks in front of the churches and other organizations about his faith. He is also involved with troubled youths and seeks to share the impact Jesus had on his life. I mean, here's the thing about Ken Shamrock. During the Attitude Era, I feel like he has completely transformed. But I did not know that he's a Christian until now. And so I personally feel like, even if you're afraid to share your belief in Christ in front of the church, and I get it, you're shy, you're gonna end up being embarrassed and laughed at. But with the Spirit of God in your life, you have the power to overcome that, stage fright, and just try to have fun and try to relax while talking in front of, your church and the troubled youth community, to encourage these young people to give God a try. It's never too late. It's never too late. So we know that Ted DiBiase is a Christian, so he became a minister. So even if he stops working at WWE, in real life, when you're passionate about God in your local church, it's never too late to become something greater, whether it's a pastor or a minister or, a trustee, a deacon, a guest preacher. I think when it comes to celebrities turning to God for, sharing their love for Jesus Christ, I believe it's a good thing, because as long as they're continuing to worship him and sharing the love of God, with the world, what I'm saying, even if the world doesn't want to do it or not. So for that, I say a shout out to Ted DiBiase for doing a good job with his life, and he continues to do God's work. The Undertaker says he always believed in God, but never really lived that way. Through his life, Michelle McCool, who was a Christian, he became a believer himself. The dead man is now attending churches regularly and living out his faith. Now, when Mark Calloway came out years ago to do an interview with the pastor, he even admitted that he wasn't a Christian. he believed in God, but he never really lived by it, to live by what he says. But after marrying his wife Michelle McCool, he became a Christian. He restored his faith in Christ. And it wouldn't surprise me if Mark Calloway became a preacher in his local church in Houston, Texas. By the way, Mark Calloway is from Houston, so it makes sense. But if he were to be a guest preacher in my local church in Matthews Memorial Baptist Church in Washington, D.C., I think the fans are going to end up attending the church because they're fans of The Undertaker. But in real life, Mark Calloway, if he were to become a preacher, I think he's going to have a very strong message, not in the way of The Undertaker, but as a regular human being of what Mark Calloway is experiencing God in his life. So he even said at one point also that whenever he goes to church, I don't want people thinking that he's, The Undertaker in character, but as a man, as a human being, just be yourself and get to know God your way. But after marrying Michelle, like he said, that he restored his faith in Jesus Christ. He even said in his Hall of Fame speech while giving an emotional, motivational speech. And that right there really goes to show you that how beloved Undertaker was throughout the years in the 90s and all the way to now. So even if you watch his biography on A&E, then you will know just how much of a great human being Mark Calloway is. And he's the one I respect the most because as a Christian, everybody has the ways of living through Jesus Christ. But when you think about it, he's not playing a character on TV in real life. He's actually a human being in reality. And so, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if Mark Calloway became a Christian in real life. I mean, he's already a Christian, but what I was trying to say is that it wouldn't surprise me if he became a preacher in his local church. And I see nothing wrong with that. He continues to serve God, doing God's work. That's really all that matters to me. So shout out to Mark Calloway for, restoring his faith in God. Eddie Guerrero sadly passed away in '05, but during his life, he was known as a man of God. After his passing, many wrestlers commented on Eddie's strong faith. Shawn Michaels said he and Eddie would both regularly encourage each other in their faith. Others say Eddie would always quote the Bible verses when they were sad or discouraged. He truly loved his neighbor as himself. Now, to me, this is the one thing I respect about Eddie Guerrero the most, even though he sadly passed away in '05. But a lot of people got to remember that these wrestlers are also Christian. They're not what they say they are on TV in real life. But in reality, they're also good Christians. What Eddie Guerrero did, going around, saying quotes from the Bible, but he also has a point at the same time. Eddie, he wasn't just somebody who lies, cheats, and steals on TV, but in real life, he's also a Christian, try to encourage people to, put their faith in Christ, without forcing it. There are other ways to encourage people to get to know God. Even when he's explaining the quotes from the Bible verses, and whether people get them or not, whether they understand or not, just know that, in real life, God works in mysterious ways. You just got to put your faith and belief in him. So shout out to Eddie Guerrero. I'll tell you what, if I became a celebrity or anything in the industry, I'm going to always put my faith in God regardless. So I'm not going to put up a front for everybody on TV, try to be all cute and sexy and all that for the females and all of that. But to me, this is real life. This is what Christians do. We believe in God. We put our faith in him, and whatever we're going through, God works in mysterious ways. And I think a lot of us need to remember what he can also do for the people in the community, not just the black community, but for all the communities as well. White, Asian, black, Hispanic, Thai, orange, it don't matter what color. God, like I say, he works in mysterious ways. We just need to continue to read the Bible, read the book of Genesis, and just try to study God's words and just try to live through it the best way we can and try to get to know him the best, the best way we can. We're not perfect, but in God's eyes, all we can do is just try to become better versions of ourselves and try to be better people in general, because life is getting too short out here. For real, for real. So if y'all want the original video, I will post it in the description below. And if you want me to do more Christian videos like this, by all means, put it in the chat. And I'm going to see you later.